You're such an inconsiderate woman. Older women are worthless, so the least you can do is not be a nuisance to others. I've always been admonished like this by Tyler. This Christmas, I aim to be perfect and avoid any scolding. As usual, I prepare Christmas dinner for 30 people alone, ready to welcome my husband's relatives. Meanwhile, Tyler just sleeps, snoring like a pig. Suddenly, I notice a piece of paper near Tyler. Divorce papers. Why? My name is even on them. There was a divorce form filled out. Of course I didn't write it. If I leave it here, I might get scolded again for being inconsiderate. Maybe I should file it since it's been prepared. I've been a devoted wife to Tyler. But I'm not just a submissive woman. Tyler's loud snoring abruptly stopped. A simple divorce wouldn't affect Tyler much. So, I decide to give him the final blow. Finally, this moment has arrived. I am Ezra. A regular 40-something housekeeper with a 5-year-old son. Where's the fork? Sorry, I forgot to bring it out. I'll get it now. He's Tyler, my husband. Ah, so it's Indian style today. Should I eat with my hands? But that wouldn't be right since it's a piping hot steak. If I burn my hand, you'll take responsibility, okay? It took me 5 seconds to hand Tyler the fork. I smiled gently at his joke. I married Tyler 5 years ago when I was 35. We met at a party and dated for 6 months before tying the knot. Tyler works for a company run by his father, John. It's a well-known local enterprise. Furthermore, his parents have been landowners for generations, living in a grand mansion. However, Tyler and his parents don't flaunt their status and lead a modest life, which impressed me. My father passed away early, and our family backgrounds were quite different, but don't worry about such things in this day and age. Tyler reassured me. When our wedding was decided, Tyler's mother, Pamela, teared up and held my hand tightly. Thank you for marrying Tyler. I'm so happy my only son is getting married. Let's be as close as a real mother and daughter, Ezra. At that time, Tyler was 40. His parents had tried to arrange many marriages for him, but none worked out. They almost gave up, thinking he might never marry, until I came along. He had a stable income, a wealthy family background, and a kind personality. It was a mystery why he hadn't married sooner. Let's have a grand wedding. It's a special day for a girl to become a princess. I can't wait to see you in a wedding dress, Ezra. You'll look stunning. Tyler naturally spoke such flattering words that made me blush. I was so glad to have met him. I felt truly blessed. At least until the wedding. The wedding went well, and back in the dressing room, I was still in a dreamy state. It was a beautiful wedding, wasn't it? Feels like I'm still dreaming. As I leaned on Tyler's shoulder, he abruptly moved away. Tyler brushed off his shoulder where my head touched, with a grim expression. What? You're too old for fairy tales. Face reality. Look in the mirror. How could you wear a dress with such a saggy face? Aren't you embarrassed? Wearing a tiara on your head. Did you think you became a princess? You're an old woman in your 30s. Think about your age. Tyler spewed out these words all at once. I couldn't quite grasp what he said. I looked at Tyler in shock, my smile frozen on my face. A week since the wedding, there was no conversation with Tyler. He returned from work almost at midnight and was unresponsive even when spoken to. The last words I heard from him were those harsh words after the reception. Perhaps, Tyler, drunk at the time, regretted saying something he didn't mean and started avoiding me. I agonized over his words and behavior for a week. Today, Sunday, seems to be Tyler's day off. It's a chance to talk, but he doesn't seem to see me as he fiddled with his mobile phone on the sofa. The doorbell rang, signaling a visitor. It was Tyler's parents-in-law. Surprised, as there was no scheduled visit, I saw it as a good opportunity to talk with Tyler. I happily welcomed them in. So, when are you going to have kids? You're already in your 30s, you better hurry up or you'll be useless. Pamela said, sitting on the living room sofa. I was so shocked, I spilled the tea I was pouring. What a klutz! Why are you spilling it? Tyler, who had been silent, laughed. Clumsiness is only cute in teenagers. A clumsy old lady? That's just sad. Yeah, that's true. Tyler and his parents-in-law exchanged glances and laughed joyfully. That's when I realized. This marriage was a mistake. Tyler doesn't love me. But it seems like he just wants a child. He invited me to bed with such a disgusted look. Even though I used to love him, his approach was a turn-off. But Tyler didn't care about my feelings. Months later, I got pregnant. Yes! We're having a baby! It'll be adorable. Can't wait to hold it. Tyler blushed with joy. His happiness made me happy too. I had been slightly anxious about getting pregnant. Could I spend my life with Tyler? But we just got married and everyone gave us their blessings, so it's too soon for a divorce. And I can't rely on my parents if we do divorce. Those fears seemed to disappear with the pregnancy. But the happy moment was short-lived. As soon as I got pregnant, Tyler started coming home less often. Busy with work, he'd return late at night, sometimes in the morning. With my growing belly, I suffered from severe morning sickness and couldn't move much. I had to quit my job, thinking I'd return after maternity leave. Alone in the house, I endured unbearable pain. A boy, huh? I'm not interested in boys. Tyler showed up at the hospital after the birth, but didn't even say congratulations. He seemed to have hoped for a girl and came to the hospital thinking maybe it would be different once the baby was born. After giving birth, I was alone. I raised our son Byron by myself. My in-laws wanted a grandchild, but they don't care for Byron. They insist on us paying them a visit once a month, but don't even hold him or prepare snacks. After 2 to 3 hours, it's time for you to go. And we would be kicked out. It was a meaningless and painful time. In the end, my in-laws just cared about appearances, wanting Tyler to marry and have children. Tyler still comes home late, so he has no part in raising Byron. When Byron was a baby, the unfamiliarity of childcare nearly drove me insane. Now, 5 years since Byron was born. We're a family of 3, living a settled life. The hard days feel like a distant past. It's past 11 p.m. As usual, Tyler comes home after Byron is asleep. Welcome home, Tyler. I greet him, dressed as if I was ready to go out at any moment. How was your day? I take his bag and coat at the entrance. Consciously playing the part of a good wife, I take good care of Tyler. You're home a bit earlier today. What? Is it bad that I came home early? Tyler puffs up his rosy cheeks. Not at all. I'm happy you're home early. While Tyler showers, I fry his favorite chicken. I shouldn't think about being tired or it being a hassle. I want to make a comfortable home for Tyler, without cutting any corners. Not bad at all. Tyler munched on the fried chicken with a crisp sound. Thank you. I'm happy you like it, Tyler. Tyler seemed quite pleased. Thanks to Tyler, I live a comfortable life. So, I never forget to show respect. Tyler slightly lifted his chin and tapped the table lightly with his empty glass. It's strange. I can't see any beer in my glass. Can you see it? Or is this some kind of beer only visible to honorable people? Sorry. I didn't realize your beer was gone. I'll pour it right now. Oh, there was no beer, huh? To not notice it right away, you really are an inconsiderate woman. On top of that, oil splattered from the fried chicken I was making. Can you even do things properly? There are people like you at my company. Always taking leaves. My child is sick, it's my child's sports day. Mothers who can't work because of their kids, they're such a nuisance. I feel sorry for the young women who have to pick up their slack. Since Byron was 1 year old, I have been working at a company with a daycare. Honestly, I want to go to bed right now. Taking care of Byron and doing household chores before and after work is a huge burden. I'll be more careful. You should realize it without being told. Older women are worthless, so the least you can do is not be a nuisance to others. Right. I plastered a smile on my face to keep Tyler happy and filled his glass to the brim with beer. Tyler gulped it down in one go. Tasty! And patted his stomach. The fried chicken sizzled and splattered oil again. That was dangerous, it's about to explode. After Tyler went to bed, I cleaned up the dishes and his suit. I think I'm perfectly managing household and childcare. No matter how late Tyler comes home, even if his shirt has lipstick marks, I embrace everything about Tyler with a smile. Warm meals, clean clothes, a fluffy bed, our home must be comfortable. I notice these things too without your having to say it, Tyler. Now, only a few days left in the year. Christmas is almost here. I've finished my work for the year and started my holiday break. I started as a part-timer, but this year I finally became a full-time employee, so it was busy. I want to relax a bit, but there's no rest during the year-end holidays. Make sure you prepare for Christmas. Every year, Tyler's family has a big Christmas gathering. I'm tasked with preparing the Christmas meal for 20 to 30 people, from children to the elderly. Before I became his wife, Pamela used to do all these preparations alone. So, even when I asked for help, complaining was not allowed. It was really tough when I was a new wife. Apparently, Pamela's Christmas meals were both beautiful and delicious, like those from a luxury hotel. The relatives always looked forward to the gathering. But when it became my turn, they were openly disappointed. In the last 2 to 3 years, it tastes delicious, as if it was homemade. I've finally managed to get to that level. But Tyler and his parents-in-law were not satisfied. Your food, the colors are all wrong. It looks like poor people's food. Can't you make it look glossy like my mother's? Maybe it's hard for someone who only knows cheap things. But don't embarrass me this year, okay? Okay. Finally, Christmas arrived. I loaded the car with a ton of food and headed to the in-laws' house with my family. Upon arriving, Tyler quickly went to his room. Pamela followed him, patting his back. Tired, aren't you? Going to rest? Just sleep until everyone arrives. Pamela turned to me and Byron. Welcome. She didn't even say that. Byron, still only 5, helped me carry the food from the car. With his help, the preparations for hosting were quickly completed. Taking a moment to catch my breath, I decided to leave my bag in Tyler's room and headed there. Since Tyler was sleeping, I opened the door quietly. Tyler was asleep, snoring like a pig. He had been sleeping until just before we left home, yet he was able to sleep again. Huh? I noticed a piece of paper on the desk in the back of the room. I tiptoed over to it. Divorce papers? Why? My name is even on them. There were divorce papers all filled out. Of course I hadn't written them. At a closer look, the handwriting was slightly altered, but it all looked like Tyler's. He wrote it for me. If I leave it here, he might get angry again for being inconsiderate. I guess this means I should file them. I was just gearing up to finally stop being the good wife. What perfect timing. I folded the divorce papers and tucked them into my pocket. At that moment, Tyler's loud snoring stopped. I took a deep breath and checked on him. It's okay, he's still sleeping. I quickly took Byron with me, got in the car, and left the in-laws' house. About an hour later, my mobile phone rang. It was a call from an elderly relative. Why didn't you show your face at Christmas? As a wife, you should at least give proper greetings on Christmas. He scolded me for not attending the gathering, calling it impolite. But I tried to speak, but the relative interrupted. Listen, acting all high and mighty without fulfilling your duties as a wife. Oh, but these days, if you say anything even slightly harsh, It's sexual harassment or power harassment, isn't it? It's a troublesome era. You're lucky to have such a kind mother-in-law. She didn't get angry at your abandonment of duties, and instead asked everyone to forgive you. There's no mother-in-law as kind as her. You should be more grateful. The well-mannered Pamela apparently defended me instead of portraying me as the bad one. She's forgiving you for the sake of her reputation, so come over now. Don't worry, no one's angry. You're just sulking because you can't match her cooking, right? It's okay, if you cook for some more years, you'll naturally get better. This year, you should eat her cooking and learn from her. It seems my Christmas feast was attributed to Pamela. But I had no intention of silently going along with this lie. That food was prepared by me. What? Are you really lying so blatantly? What an outrageous wife. Then, I'll be coming over now. After hanging up, I made up my mind and headed back to the in-laws. At the in-laws, everyone was drinking and having a good time. Holding Byron's small hand, I briskly opened the door to the room. Oh, Ezra, you came? Pamela looked a bit uncomfortable. The nosy relative who called earlier beckoned me. You came after all. Good for you. Here, eat some Christmas food. It's really good. I know it's delicious. It cost $1,000. What? I greeted everyone loudly, so my voice could be heard in every corner of the room. Everyone, what did you think of the taste of the food? Since there were comments that my cooking is for poor people, this year I prepared a special Christmas meal. This Christmas food costs $1,000 per set. The room, previously lively, fell silent. Judging that my cooking couldn't entertain important guests, this year I ordered 5 sets of $1,000 Christmas meals. It was a big splurge. Ezra, what nonsense are you talking about? Pamela, unable to hide her confusion. Don't say unnecessary things. She pleaded with her eyes. But I tilted my head in confusion. Don't you understand? Here's the receipt, then. I was about to hand Pamela the printout of the website where I purchased the Christmas meal and the receipt but decided against it. And instead gave them to a middle-aged woman nearby who was looking on with interest. My goodness. It really costs $1,000. What does this mean? Look, everyone. As expected, the woman was delighted. Didn't you say it was homemade? Of course, all eyes turned to Pamela. Well, that's, Stumbling over her words, Pamela couldn't find a good excuse. The food Pamela makes is as delicious as a luxury hotel, right? Everyone's right. Because it's from a luxury hotel. I remembered the photos of the splendid Christmas food supposedly made by Pamela that I'd seen before. It was a level an amateur couldn't possibly achieve. It's like it was bought from a store. In fact, wasn't it bought from a store? Upon checking, it was indeed the same as the Christmas meals from a famous luxury hotel. I'm sorry my cooking seemed like it was unpalatable and for poor people. So, I arranged for the same luxury hotel Christmas food as Pamela. While Pamela usually chose dishes around $200, I thought the $1,000 ones looked tastier. Pamela was trembling, her face beet red. Surrounded by the seated relatives looking up at her, Pamela covered her face with her hands, her legs shaking. Shut up! That's a lie. The lies of a wicked wife. No matter how much she screamed, it only looked pitiful. The elderly relatives stared at Pamela with expressions of incredible confusion. But the younger ones seemed to have realized it and were holding back their laughter. Pamela's wailing mixed with suppressed chuckles. You're rotten to the core. Are you happy tormenting my mother? Finally, Tyler lashed out at me. He marched right up to me and grabbed me by the front of my shirt without hesitation. Though the meals weren't homemade, I had prepared a large amount of food and drinks, and I wanted to be appreciated for it. Tyler, who had left all the preparations to me, had no right to act so high and mighty. If Tyler had cared about me even a little, he would have realized right away that I hadn't been frantically cooking. You call yourself a wife? It's embarrassing. Get out now. I was about to leave anyway. We're strangers now, after all. Huh? I just filed the divorce papers I found in your room, Tyler. Thoughtful, right? Tyler's eyes widened in shock. You filed them? Those were just... I mean, I wasn't serious, you know. You really filed them? You wrote the divorce papers because you wanted to divorce me, right? Well, no, it wasn't like that. It was more about my sincerity. I chuckled slightly. Anyway, the divorce papers you wrote are already filed. I'll consult a lawyer about the division of assets and the compensation for your infidelity. Wah! You thought I didn't notice your affairs? I'm not that oblivious. Goodbye. I left Tyler, who was still flustered over filling out the divorce papers. He said he filled out the divorce papers out of sincerity, but it was probably to show his serious intentions to his mistress. Whether she's happy about it or not, I don't know. Later, as I had declared, I received compensation for the affair and the money from the division of assets. Furthermore, I got a lump sum for Byron's child support, wanting nothing more to do with Tyler. Tyler was a bit reluctant, but be generous to the poor. Pamela's condescending attitude towards me helped move things along. I felt relieved that my ties with Tyler were completely severed. Whatever happens to Tyler from now on is none of my concern. Let's begin. It's not over just because the ties are cut. This is where it really starts. A few days later, I was at a certain restaurant. Tyler appeared with a spring in his step. He was looking fashionable with a scarf around his neck. Hey, sorry to keep you waiting. He wasn't addressing me, but a young girl sitting behind me. Tyler was all smiles, but the girl's face was angry. You're Tyler, right? You're the one that's been with my daughter. Several men and women rose from my table. They all stared sharply at Tyler. Surrounded by these strangers for no apparent reason. A storm was brewing, but Tyler wasn't the victim. They were the parents of Tyler's mistresses. How dare you toy with our daughter? Wait, please! It was consensual. We were in a consensual relationship. Consent or not, she's still a child. Tyler's mistress was of an age where she shouldn't be involved in such relationships. And she wasn't the only one. Hence, the parents of the victims had come together here. No, I seriously love her. Love? Our daughter? Or someone else? No, I mean, it was a clear-cut relationship, not like I had any ulterior motives. The more he tried to explain, the deeper he seemed to sink. Disgusting. The girl's inner voice slipped out. Tyler apparently thought he was really popular, but to the girl, he was just a convenient man who gave her money. Immediately, negotiations with a lawyer were held. Tyler shrank, trembling slightly. The settlement was quite expensive, but things seemed to have settled down. The parents left first, leaving Tyler all alone. Tyler was staring blankly at the sky. How pitiful he looked. As I passed by Tyler. Hey, you! He noticed me. Why are you here? I'm just at a restaurant. Just having a meal. No, that's not it. Was that extortion just now you're doing? Who knows? I tilted my head, leaving it ambiguous. Tyler's eyes widened rapidly. He tried to chase after me, but seemed to have lost his strength and fell on the spot. Wait! As if I would wait even if he says so. I left, smiling, leaving Tyler in his miserable state. Tyler quickly paid off the settlements to several people. Having already paid me a substantial amount, he must be out of savings by now. However, Tyler's father is a company president and also a landowner. Maybe this amount of money doesn't hurt him. What's more, Tyler may be born with a silver spoon in his mouth, but he won't be able to depend on that soon. One morning, Tyler's name appeared in a small article in the local newspaper. Tyler had been embezzling money from his company. It was a reasonably large company, but it was tightly controlled by family members. Tyler, the prospective company president, must have thought, the company is mine, the money is mine. So he got caught. Tyler was foolish, but so was the family-run company. I knew about it 5 years ago. I had been devotedly taking care of Tyler's needs. I naturally became aware of his affairs and shady money dealings. When we divorced, I accidentally took some of those documents, so I sent them to the company out of a new sense of responsibility. Whether or not that led Tyler into his current predicament, I don't know, and frankly, I don't care. A few days later, Tyler came to visit me. I was surprised to see him. I thought he'd be in jail by now. Apparently, John, his father, was furious about Tyler's betrayal, but they eventually reconciled, and the criminal complaint was withdrawn. Let's start over. I've realized you're the only one for me. I braced myself for an insult, but instead, it was a worse request, a reconciliation. That's impossible. The divorce was your wish. That was just a misunderstanding on your part. I love you, Ezra. I felt nauseous. I don't love you. Don't say that. Tyler, grinning, moved closer. Then, a stale smell hit my nose. I recoiled, wrinkling my face. Wait, do I smell? I've showered properly, but the smell won't go away. Why? When I was with you, no one ever made faces at me. Is this some kind of harassment? Is the whole world harassing me? Tyler looked around as if searching for an enemy, holding his body. I discreetly covered my nose and saw that the collar of his shirt has yellowed. He wasn't washing his clothes properly. And I doubted he was washing his towels or bedding. Tyler sweats a lot and has a strong body odor, so without proper care, it quickly becomes unpleasant. Without someone to support him, he becomes such an unclean person. Unfortunately, there's no kind woman to take care of Tyler now, and he can't afford a housekeeper. Tyler's swollen face was wet with tears. I looked down on his pathetic figure, celebrating in my mind that it is all over. For the past 5 years, I had been devoted to Tyler, not out of love. Not even as a returned favor for being the breadwinner. I was just nurturing him into a worthless man. Overly pampered, he became an arrogant man who couldn't even prepare his own pants. Even if he had eaten out with a woman, he was happy to eat greasy food at midnight because I always prepared his favorites. Leading him straight to lifestyle diseases. Who would love a man who's out of money and full of fat? Now financially independent, I don't need such a Tyler anymore. I also made good use of his weaknesses I gained over time. You like younger girls, right? Don't settle for me. No, that's not it. Then, I hope you find a young girl to date. Wait, Ezra. You're the one I want. There's no one else but you. I broke up with the women for you. I even cut ties with my parents who were harsh on you. All I need is you. I was such a fool to realize your importance only after losing you. I truly love you, Ezra. Despite his beautiful words, he was simply dumped by a woman and disowned by his parents. Goodbye. I kept smiling until the end. Tyler lost everything. He knelt on the ground, emitting a dirty, pig-like wail. All I felt was disgust. Despite being abandoned by me, Tyler desperately tried to apologize and return to his parents' home. No matter the trouble, he was still their precious only son. Pamela would probably forgive him. However, it seemed his parents-in-law could no longer afford to take Tyler back. Ezra! Listen, my mother is the worst. She's been dipping into our savings. She lectured me with tears for using company money, but she was embezzling our home's money too. Tyler, now a stranger to me, came crying. He's changed a lot, shedding his pretense and exposing his shame. Not only Dad, but he sold our family land without my consent. It used to be ours everywhere you looked, and now all that's left is where our house stands. How did he blow through millions? He said it was to cover the company's debts. Tyler looked down sadly for a moment. In the end, it was all on gambling and women. Even Mom, at her age, was doting on some boy. Ridiculous. The money that was supposed to be mine, all gone. There's nothing left for me. Tyler's parents were as foolish as him. Even without my intervention, they would have self-destructed eventually. What's this about boys and women? Someone almost 80-year-old isn't going to be a young person's love interest. Fooled so easily. What about all the money that disappeared? What about my future? I can't even eat anymore. I'm done for. I could see his desire to get back with me. The pitiful Tyler. Indeed, pitiful. A family that only thinks of themselves. Getting back with Tyler? Never, even if the world turned upside down. I avoided him as much as possible since he was so persistent. Eventually, Tyler's company fell apart, and the next thing I knew, there was a new president. I don't know who the new president is, but it's definitely not Tyler. Tyler hit rock bottom and stopped bothering me. Now, Byron and I are living, supporting each other. I got enough money from Tyler before he hit rock bottom, and I'm working too, so there are no worries about the future. The struggle for financial independence before divorcing Tyler was worth it. Mom, stay with me until morning. One night, as Byron and I went to bed, he gently held my hand. See, Mom, you always leave after I fall asleep. I want you to stay beside me. He noticed I was leaving his side, though I thought he was sound asleep. I was just finishing up some leftover chores. A little pile of laundry, a messy room, no big deal. Even if there's no homemade nutritious meal, a hot dog from the hot dog stand can be a special treat. All right. I'll stay beside you. Byron doesn't need everything to be perfect. He just wanted my warmth. You're warm. I wonder how long Byron will hold my hand while sleeping. His peaceful sleeping face always soothes me.